Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. We talk all the time out in the business world, folks. It is loud and crowded, people talking, people trying to sell you stuff. So you need professionals like Drago and the folks at Oak City Tech to help get your message out correctly. Because a lot of people saying a lot of things, but when we're specific and we tell people the solutions we have, you want pros like the folks at Oak City Tech on your side to help you get that out. So go to oakcitytech.com, tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we welcome a successful small business story so you can learn more about folks like that. If you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Each week, about 35 chapters and about 520 members get together, and all we're trying to do is help each other grow our businesses. And our guest today is Scott Korbin, owner of the Scott Korbin team powered by Compass Realty. And Scott is a member of RD 48 Next Level. They meet Thursday mornings at 8:15. Right now it's on Zoom. But when they get back to meeting in person in Cary, it's at the Maton Inn. Scott, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mike. I'm doing fine. It's a pleasure.
All right, glad to have you here today. So we're going to chat a little bit about the market in real estate. We could have everybody. We could have somebody on every hour, Scott, with the stuff's been going on. I'll. I was talking with somebody a couple weeks ago, and they opened their business during COVID, so I can't even ask them no, during normal times what was it like. But the market, I mean, we hear in the 250 to 400,000 range that there's no inventory, yet people are still wanting to buy and sell and move into the triangle. So it's almost business as usual, just kind of in a different way.
Well, I can't say that we're seeing this as business as usual. We've never seen the market like this. I've been in the business since the late '80s. I've been a licensed real estate broker since 1995 here in the Triangle, and we've never seen anything like this. I'm not sure where you want to take this conversation this morning. If the good, the bad, the ugly, there's a little bit of
Yeah.
every bit of that.
What have you and your team learned with regard to navigating everything that's going on, whether it's no inventory or I know early on in COVID, you guys either couldn't show a house or only two or three people could be in at the same time. So what have you guys learned through all this?
There's a lot of great takeaways. You know, it really has helped underscore our entire process. You may have heard, but I developed a process called the Strategic Real Estate Game Planner. And it starts with listening to understand, getting clear on what an individual is trying to accomplish, the timeline they're trying to accomplish it in, the things that might get in the way of them trying to accomplish what they're setting out to accomplish. There's never been a more important time uh, that I've experienced to be working with a professional. Be sure if you're out there navigating the real estate market that you're working with someone that you can count on to be there with you from contract to close and beyond. It's a challenging market for a buyer. It's even a challenging market for a seller. Uh, that may come as a surprise, but I'll be happy to share with you what I mean about that.
Well, and one of the things that I have learned, and one of the neat things about being in BNI, for me at least, is it has driven home the point to me of shop local. And whether it's your banker, your CPA, your realtor, I mean, you want somebody's, in my mind, I want your cell phone number because I want that connection. And again, we can talk for hours on relationship marketing, but
No, but
let's go back to the seller. When
mhm.
you have 8 bids, right? 10 bids, which I'm sure you've been in those situations, and some are for, way more money than you offered. People don't realize the value somebody like you brings to the table to negotiate on behalf of your client what's best for them.
Absolutely. I'll give you just a case in point this morning without going through all of the details. We have a listing that is coming soon. It came to the coming soon market on Friday. And there's some desperate buyers in the marketplace. We received a sight unseen offer, $50,000 over the listed price with a $10,000 non-refundable due diligence fee. The price that it came in at, frankly, was above what the sellers were expecting for the house. And I instructed them to think about the fact that anybody who makes an offer sight unseen, particularly a home that's 35 years old, uh, is desperate. And if you're going to negotiate with someone that's in desperation, you have to understand that you're dealing with a highly emotional individual or family, and they need a place to live and they need it soon. And they've identified your home as one of those options. So, what I suggested to them was to seriously consider negotiating with those individuals, but not necessarily accepting. Mike?
What do you mean by that?
Well, if somebody makes an offer that high over the listed price, they're serious. But it's also an indication that there may be upside for that particular offer. So in that particular case, I suggested that they consider at what price would they consider to be high enough that they believe, in their opinion, they have eliminated the possible outlier that might make an offer that's superior to that once we start our showings.
I
And of
gotta
course, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I gotta believe through all this, just when you think you've seen everything, right? I mean, something new is coming up. I'm amazed at the well, first of all, I'm amazed at the number of licensed realtors in the market. It was I think last I heard, it was like 7,300 people or something like that.
So there's a little over
Oh,
14,000 in our market,
jeez.
but there's about 7,800 that are active.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a total of roughly 3,000 homes that are in coming soon or active status.
Wow. And we've got all these national right? We've got Google coming here. We've got some of these other companies coming here. What's that doing? Are people figuring out that they've got to move further out to get the deals they want?
Yes or no? Intelligent investors in real estate understand the value of staying close to where the jobs are. So those who are considering it to be an investment, we're calling it the Apple effect right now, with Apple announcing the 3,000 jobs that are coming to the market. People are anticipating rapid rises in values. So rather than sit on the sidelines or uh, hope that they might get something that they can value as an investment, they're looking at potential 10, 15, 20% appreciation rates in selected markets and bidding those prices now so that they can get into what it is they want or invest into what it is they want without having to wait a year from now and pay maybe 20% higher in a price.
Wow. Are you dealing with more investors right now than you have in the past?
Yes.
And are they
Yeah.
local or coming from outside?
Most of them are coming from the outside.
Interesting.
California, New York, DC, um, some even moving here, Texas, Arizona,
Mm.
but the majority from California. They've
Wow.
seen this, they've been through
Yeah.
this before,
Oh,
and
that's
they've
a good
come,
point.
yeah, and they've
Okay.
come and they've visited our market. They're seeing the infrastructure, they're seeing the way that the communities are being managed. Interesting, you said that we're in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area. I happen to be very proud of my community called Cary, and all of our surrounding communities.
Oh, yeah.
But I will tell you that our community is known for very conservative fiscal management. Uh, what you're seeing behind me is an image of a fountain that I took. It was a live photo, not a very good photo, I might add, but I took a photo uh, of the fountain, and it's now off because they've invested another $28 million in enhancing that project, which will be completed in about 2 years. But you would think our taxes would be going up when you make some 60, I think the total project cost was 63 million. But our taxes actually came down this year.
Have you guys tried to stop guessing when this will slow down?
No, every single day is another day. So I don't base my activities in today based on what happened yesterday. Every single day is another day. You never know what's going to come, but you consider a few things. One, I've been through uh, 4 recessions. I've been through some pretty rough setbacks over the years, and I will tell you that you can't take continuous growth for granted. This could end, but if you just consider the what we're going through as a community with the it's all about jobs, and as long as the jobs continue to come to our market, we will continue to see the growth in the real estate side.
And as a small business owner, you've got, in theory, 14,000 competitors, really about 3,000, but probably really at your level, you've been doing this so long, a handful that are the top 1%ers, top half percenters, however you want to call that. So, how do you market yourself as a realtor how do you promote yourself in a market like this where this much activity is going on?
It all starts with how you think, how you communicate, how you act. So I will tell you that I have one competitor, okay, and that competitor, I look at that person every single day in the mirror. It's me, right? I am absolutely obligated to be performing at the highest level that I can operate on any given day. I know that there will always be someone out there that will be willing either to offer their services at a lower price, or maybe for whatever reason they can act faster than I can, because there's only so many hours in the day. I have a team that supports me, and Compass backs me. Um, uh, we provide great value to the marketplace, but without a continuous commitment to improving the way we do our business, um, there's no way to continue to grow. So that's the way I look at my competition.
We are here with Scott Korbin, owner of Scott Korbin Team, powered by Compass Realty. Scott's a member of RD 48. They meet, their name of their chapter is called The Next Level, and they meet Thursday mornings at 8:15. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. Folks, we talk all the time about what you own and what you don't, and you do not own your Facebook pages. They can shut you down in a minute. Google can shut you down. All that stuff can be gone. But one of the things you do control is an email list. You want to send out a monthly newsletter, a weekly, whatever you want to do, you have that. But you want to deal with pros like the folks at Oak City Tech to help you do that the right way to get the right message out to your past, current, and future clients. So if you'll go to oakcitytech.com, tell them what you're looking for, I know they'll be able to help you. All right, Scott, small business owners, I love them. And you said the magic, you've said two things already that I love. One is systems. You got to have systems, and most of my analogies are sports related. I look at the Patriots, the San Antonio Spurs, Alabama football. Why are they so good for 15, 18, 20 years? Because they do the same thing every day, working towards that. But you're one of the few people that will admit to not having any competitors. And I love that, because if you're better than you the next day, you win, right?
Exactly, exactly. So to speak to the processes, there's really uh, I can't help but mention BNI. I mean, most of the people here that are watching this perhaps are already familiar, but I will tell you that my BNI team is without question the best in our market. So, but that's been by design. I was a member of the chartered BNI group in North Raleigh back in 1991, back when Coleman Moore was the area director, or I think call him the executive director. And ever since, BNI is what really put me on the map locally. Within 6 months of being a member, I had to hire someone to replace me so I could continue to grow my business, and ended up having members in my organization in multiple groups. So I was in the mortgage lending business, I should say, when I first moved here in 1991.
What I
Um,
like about BNI, and again, this goes through our lives, whether we're in business or not, but it's relationships. And that's so true in small business because they're my guess is the people calling you have figured out who you are and they want Scott. Your logo, you could work for anybody in the free world, Scott, and it won't matter that much to to the buyer or the seller because they've been told by somebody they trusted, just call Scott.
Absolutely. In fact, a success story. We have got a referral from a BNI member in New York who had been referred to me by a BNI member that relocated from New York, and I helped them acquire a property. And anyway, they're moving down here. And last night we successfully negotiated on the purchase of a property in Wake Forest. And that was a referral of a referral from within BNI.
And well, two things I love about this story. One is the relationship because all you did, we can write what we want, we can say what we want, but the only thing you did was took such good care of that client that moved here. That was now they're telling people, but that's all you did in your way. And everybody think it's so difficult and we got to spend money, we got to build this. He's like, no, just take care of the client. If they're happy, they will refer you. But
100%.
the other thing I like about this, and we talked about this before it came on the show, is you really do work during the weekends, don't you?
No, that's one thing I maybe I misspoke. I really I don't. I play on the weekend, and my play happens to be in the sport of real estate. Um, I love what I do. I don't really feel like I'm working.
That's good though. That helps when you wake up every day being fired up. There are what, at least 10,000 fix it remodel shows on TV. Do you watch any of those?
I've seen some. I have some basic familiarity with them. I live them. I happen to have a gentleman in our group, Jonathan Brothers from Glasgow Design Build, who part of his tagline is "I'm a licensed home builder and I play one on TV." So I live that out through his life vicariously. But no, we do that kind of stuff, and we live it. We live the experience.
Yeah, Jonathan was on the show a while back and he talked about with Jed and the pilot they did, and yeah, so it's a good story. But
Oh,
again, you
great
just
story.
never know. But there's so many of those shows out there. There's either the agent side or the fix it side,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I think people could watch that 24/7 if they wanted to. But yeah, like you said, right, you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, well, that's a tough market right now. Flips are a tough market.
Yeah, yep.
Um, one of the biggest scares, if you really care to know what's going on in the market right now, and it really is scary. There, there are some companies out there that are doing some things that I think you could argue are right in line with what they're trying to accomplish as corporations, but they're potentially very damaging to the affordable housing market. Um, it's they're crawling and watching what people are looking at. They're seeing what people are searching for. They're identifying those markets, and they're buying up 30, 40, 50 houses over the course of a month or two, and then going in and buying them at a higher price just to elevate the value of all of their properties, and it's
Ooh,
putting some of these homes unfortunately out of reach for your average consumer.
wow, I did not know that was going on. Yep, that is not good. It's not healthy because yeah. Anyways, that's just
Yeah,
not
it's
healthy for the
it's it's
market.
a smart strategy for
Yeah.
a developer. When they're building homes, you don't want to reverse the trend and start lowering your prices. It's not good for the people that have bought in early. but these iBuyers are using the strategy to literally make it almost impossible for your typical first-time home buyer to find anything in today's market.
And going back to shop local, there are a lot of these, and you can weigh in as little or a lot as you want to on this. There are a lot of these national commercials now for these companies that come in, and we got realtors all over the place, and we'll get top dollar for you and we'll buy your house. And there's things in there that people don't realize, Scott, that if your house, let's say you put a house on the market for 300,000 and
Mhm.
this company comes in and decides we want to buy that house, my understanding is you're not going to get the full price from them because they got to turn around and sell it. So they got to make a profit. Whereas if they work with somebody local like you, your only goal is to get them the most money for their house.
Well, that's true. I mean, there are you have to be careful. I
Yeah.
mean, I've seen some cases. I've had past clients contact me and show me what they were being offered, and I had a case not too long ago, maybe 7 months ago, where I actually advised the client to take the offer. But it was clear to me in that particular case what they were trying to do. They had acquired some other properties within the community at lower prices, and to the point that I just mentioned, they come in and they offer a price that in this case was like 15% higher than the other properties. What they were doing was they were trying to establish a new valuation for the homes in that market. So by paying extra for a house on the one house, it raised the value of all the other ones within their community. Now it takes three sales to make an appraisal, but you know this is not an unusual thing to be seeing. So sometimes it makes sense. I mean, I will tell you, it's surprising, but there are some cases where iBuyers will actually create more value for you.
And I also understand if you need cash fast or you have to move quickly, it would work in your favor to get that done.
Yes, so how this whole thing even started. Um, Open Door was originally a company that was more or less created by Lennar Corporation. They saw value to all these people coming in that wanted to buy homes but had homes to sell. And rather than have to refer those buyers to another agent at another firm who would then list and sell their home so they could buy the Lennar home, they started a program that essentially said, "Hey, look, we'll buy your home, right? Open Door will buy it, and then you can buy our home, and you can see what it's created, right?
Yep.
This facilitation of making it easy. I had a listing prospect this weekend here in Cary contacted me, came and talked to him, and he said, I received an offer from Open Door. Now, in his particular case, because of where Open Door was on his home, I'm going to be able to add more value by actually marketing the home for sale. And as long the commitment there was I had to get it done within 30 days, right? Which in today's market is actually fairly easy. But if they had made him an offer that, you look at the numbers and you say, you know what, in 30 days, does it really make sense to have to put it on the market, have to deal with showings? Sometimes, you're better off just
Yeah.
accepting that offer.
And so I guess the takeaway from this is just be careful and do some research on what your options are, right?
To talk
Yep.
to a dedicated professional
Yep.
that's going to tell you the truth. You know, there's nothing better than knowing the facts.
Yep.
And by the way, one of the important facts to know is that in today's market, there's a lot of emotional buying. So I can show you facts, right, which may indicate that the market value of your home is approximately 300,000. But to know that there's some people that are so emotional out there that they will pay 350,000 for a home that's worth 300, it's not necessarily a good idea to let that one go to an iBuyer.
No, I'm with you on that. I always like doing research on my guests each week. because I'm fascinated by things people have done that I haven't, and I always love to learn stuff like that. I have strong family ties on my wife's side of the family to the Air Force. Father-in-law is a retired colonel. Brother-in-law flew B-52s. And so I know you had a career in the or you did some time in the Air Force as a KC-135 co-pilot training. But what I learned prior to coming on here was there was a reason why you wanted to get into jets and planes, right?
I certainly didn't sign up to pass gas for 9 hours a day, but I will tell you that as a kid, I was 11 years old, living in Israel. My father was worked for the government. He was a civilian working for the government, and he had a commitment to world peace. That was his sole purpose for living, and he demonstrated it in the things that he did. One day during the Yom Kippur War, he shared with me that he thought that there was a mission that I could do that might bring value. So it inspired me. I decided at that point that I would fly jets. And um, when I went through high school, I decided that if I could take on the mission that he had a vision for, it was basically shooting down Soviet satellites. That was the mission of this particular aircraft. At the time, the F-4 was going to be the aircraft that was going to do it, and then later the F-15. Unfortunately, uh, the luck of the draw, our class of 60 pilots, there were absolutely no F-15s. In fact, there was only one fighter for our entire class. There were 13 training slots. I was fighter attack and reconnaissance qualified, but because of the limitations of the available aircraft, a big part of it was the Navy had just taken on the new fighter role at the time. But long story short, I ended up being offered an opportunity to come back and do T-37 training instruction, and my ego was far bigger than my knowledge of what was going on in the Air Force at the time. I was absolutely convinced I was going to get my F-15, and I ended up finding out that by turning down the T-37 slot, I ended up getting a KC-135 to Wichita, Kansas. So big disappointment, but everything happens for a reason.
Yep. What was the last time or when was the last time you flew an airplane?
Oh, it was with my father-in-law. He's a pilot. My brother-in-law is a pilot. It was flying in his bug smasher about 12 years ago.
Uh,
But there's a guy in my BNI group that just joined, and he promised we're going to go up and start shooting some approaches. So I'm looking forward to that.
can you explain what that's like in the cockpit of a fighter jet?
I can. It's exhilarating. It's very fun. I mean, you have to literally be looking ahead. Imagine having just an imagination of where you're going to take your business. Right, you're thinking into the future when you're flying a fighter aircraft, anything that flies at above Mach speed. You have to be thinking about where you're going and not where you are.
The two jobs that I think, based on my world, that I have no concept of the need for reflexes. One is a fighter pilot, and the other's a hockey goalie. Because all of a sudden something appears on your windshield, you're like, I better deal with this in a quick manner. I can't imagine, first of all, the math you had to take to get to that point, but then just the reflexes when all of a sudden you got to go from here to here real fast, right?
Yeah, I've always been a numbers guy, and I never had a problem with my reaction speed. So, um,
But a great joy flying those things.
oh, kicking the pants, as we used to call it.
There was a height and weight restriction, or at least a height restriction, right? Back in the
It
day?
was, when I was in, I think the maximum was 6'5".
Oh, okay.
You were over 6'5", you couldn't fit in one of those cockpits.
Did you look pretty good in the uniform?
Absolutely.
Top Gun, I'm assuming.
Nothing like wearing a flight suit.
Oh God, yes. Top Gun is amusing to you based on your past of flying some of those jets.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I did enjoy that movie. I
Mhm.
was again reading up your time at the Air Force Academy, your studies, and I found these interesting.
Mhm.
Medical physics and Middle
Mhm.
East studies.
Yeah, so I spent some time living in the Middle East, and I was, as I shared, passionate about world peace. I studied Arabic. I was fluent in Hebrew. I spent some time over in Saudi Arabia. I have some very, very close friends from the Middle East. A lot of my friends are Muslim. I just believe strongly in learning and understanding other people's religions and cultures. So I did have a goal. I mean, one of my goals was to be an air attaché in the Middle East, which essentially is a military ambassador. And perhaps if I had played my cards differently, it could have happened. But um, I feel like I'm living that dream now in the real estate world. I have plenty of clients from the Middle East. And believe it or not, people's investment in real estate and the challenges that they have with acquiring real estate, whether it's for owner occupancy or investment, it creates a sense of peace at home. And when people are happy at home, they tend to be happier in the rest of their dealings in the world. So hopefully, in some small way, I'm contributing to world peace.
And I agree on that. I would imagine being able to speak to somebody in their native tongue to some point probably moves you way up the list of realtors they want to deal with, right?
I hope so. I had the good fortune of meeting a gentleman from Turkey the other day. And as a kid living in Israel, you learn just about every language, at least how to count and say all the terrible curse words. But but one of the things that I learned, because a lot of my friends, like in this particular case, it was Turkish. Whenever you would try to speak the language, the parents would all of a sudden just start talking as if you understood every word they were saying. So I learned how to say, "I'm sorry, but this morning I don't speak Turkish," in a number of different languages, including Arabic. So when I said that to him the other day, um, he got a really good kick out of it. So yeah, it's a nice icebreaker.
Very nice. All right, so we're going to come back to your flying world in a second.
Mhm.
But I think these are connected, but I want to see how they are. One of my favorite questions to ask people on the show is your wife's name is Mary. So, two questions. How did you two meet? And do you both tell the story the same way?
That's a great question. I can tell you that we don't tell it the same way, but there's a reason for that, because one of us is right and one of us is wrong.
Please
But we
tell
haven't been able
us.
to figure it out. So I was in pilot training uh, at in Chandler, Arizona, and I moved to an apartment complex in Mesa, Arizona. Mary was a student at Arizona State, and which is in Tempe, and Mesa is about 10 minutes from Tempe. So I had come west to find an apartment off base, and she went east to find an apartment off campus. And one day I was in doing my laundry. I say that I was doing my wash and she was doing her dry. She swears that she was doing her wash and I was doing my dry. But that's basically how we met.
In the laundry room of an apartment complex?
Yes.
Very nice. And who started the conversation first?
Well, it had to be me.
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
And
yeah.
how long did it take you to ask her out?
Well, I will tell you, when I first set eyes on her, I thought, oh, that's never going to happen. Um, so I was pretty reluctant at the time I didn't ask her out per se. I think it took me, well, I can tell you what happened next. I was kind of bragging about how good I was with remembering names. And so she shared with me what her name was. And it's a tough one, right? Mary.
Yeah.
And at the time, because there were 4 guys in my squadron whose names were Scott, we were actually each going by our middle names at the time. So I kind of introduced that myself as Anson Scott Korbin, just in case you heard me being called Anson out by the pool, because there were other guys that were living there from the squadron. So it was maybe a week or so later, I was in paying rent, and she's walking out as I'm walking in, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" She said, "Oh, hi, Anson Scott."
Oh.
And I'm like, "What?" I was literally in shock that she even remembered who I was. I mean, you got to understand, this is like the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life. I
Nice.
mean, it's unbelievable,
Did
unbelievable.
did you recover
Still,
quickly?
I did not. I did not, and it cost me dearly. It cost me dearly.
And she still tells that story, right?
Well, that she remembers.
Yes. So where was
Yeah,
the first date?
the first date. So she was friends with another guy in the complex. It was an older gentleman from Australia, very handsome, had a 19, I think it was a 65. Excuse me, it was a, yeah, I think it was a 65 Thunderbird. And I take it back. I'm sorry. It was a 55 Thunderbird
Oh,
in pristine condition. Okay. And he also has a motorcycle, right? And I befriended him, and one day he said, "Hey, I see that you've been trying to hook up with Mary. I'm pretty good friends with her. Um, how would you like me to arrange a ride for you guys in the back seat of my Thunderbird? I'll drive."
yeah.
So that was our first experience together in the back seat of the Thunderbird. And he turned on. I think he popped in a, like a, what was it, a, trying to remember those 8-track
Yep.
tapes, whatever they had back
Oh,
then.
yeah.
And it was like an Elvis song. It was really something else. And that was it. That was the first time. And I kind of screwed up. He offered to let me try out his motorcycle. That was our next trip. That never happened again. Uh, I scared the hell out of her.
So things turned out well because you guys got married, which is
Yeah,
good. And you have a daughter.
I do.
I raised 2 boys. I have 4 nieces, but that doesn't count to raising a daughter. What is that like?
Man, it's awesome. It's awesome. Love her to death. She's amazing. She's a thriving entrepreneur. She lives in Pasadena with her boyfriend and best friend since 6th grade, a gal named Maya, and her boyfriend Josh. They have a thriving business called Flying Apple Vintage. It's a vintage clothing business. They sell through Etsy and also have their own
Oh,
online stuff. It's
nice.
Yeah, she's really doing well.
And
She's a musician by trade and by her schooling, singer songwriter. But that business is so tough to make any money from, and she she and her friends have gotten creative and they're very successful. Very proud of her.
that's an expensive place to live, isn't
Unbelievable,
it?
unbelievable. She pays more to rent out there than
Yeah.
we would to own a home out here.
Yeah, and that's split 3 ways, and it's still
Yeah,
expensive, right?
exactly, exactly.
You also went to Cherry Hill High School West
Okay,
in
Trail West.
Jersey, right?
That's
So
correct.
you've lived on I mean, I got you living in North Carolina, Colorado, New Jersey, Arizona, California, and Israel. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Very nice. Okay. I always look for famous alums from high school. I'd have no idea if you were in school with both of them. I don't know. Sherry Coben, she created it for people that are old like us in the 80s, the sitcom Kate and Allie.
Hmm,
Yeah.
okay.
And then Billy Hunter used to be president of the NBA Players Association.
Okay.
He was in it. I've been following that for a while with all the negotiations and everything. So hopefully this show, Scott, will get you your plaque in the hallway at your Eagles.
Well, I'll tell you, we had some great alums out there. Wendy Camanoff is a comedian in LA. She's got a great program called Tasty Words. It's really amazing. There's a guy named Randy Kemper. I don't know how he's doing, but he was a fashion designer in New York. His line was picked up by Hillary Clinton and a number of other very successful businesswomen. Um,
Very
those are
nice.
a couple that come to mind. Oh, and you you may remember the first pilot that got shot down during the Iraq
Mhm.
conflict.
Oh, wow.
A naval pilot named Jeff Zahn. He graduated a year after I did. He went to the Naval Academy. There's a picture of him on Newsweek with all the bruises on his face. Looked like he's all cut up. But that he was one of
Wow.
he and I were in the on the gymnastics team together.
Oh, you were a gymnast.
I was a gymnast.
What event was your specialty?
Pommel horse.
Yeah. That's impressive to swing
Yeah,
around basically on your biceps and hands, right?
yeah. I wasn't very good.
Did you
Wasn't very good, but there were some people on the team that were amazing. A guy named David Thomas. He was something else.
did you do
And
the
Jeff
ring?
Zahn.
Did you do the ring exercise much?
I did. I wasn't good, but
Oh,
yeah,
that's got to be painful.
yes.
That's got to be painful. One of the other neat things about being involved in BNI for me is to meet people that are part of the community in whatever way they want to. And I know you go way back. Two of them that we talked about. You are president of the Heart of Cary Association, but
Mhm,
you are co-founder, and I think this goes back to 2002, if I got my reading
mhm,
correctly.
mhm, mhm.
I'm going to butcher the name. I'm going to let you say it. Just yeah, I'm going to let you.
Chabad of Cary.
Yes,
Mhm.
thank you. And so what got you involved with that, first of all, with Chabad?
Well, I've always been a big believer in community and staying connected to my roots. So being brought up in a fairly religious Jewish home, I connected with the organization because I felt like they were very committed to um, bringing people to understand the true meaning behind being Jewish. So that was my reason. And I loved the rabbi at the time. His name was Rabbi Aaron Herman, amazing guy. And he was worth providing the support to. And I mean, look at the legacy. He's moved on to Pittsburgh, and the organization is thriving and growing now with a rabbi named Yisrael Cutler and his growing family. So it's a beautiful concept. It came from a rabbi named Menachem Schneerson, who was a leader and had relationships with a number of U.S. presidents. Just a big believer um, in community and giving back. It's a really cool organization.
And how old were you when you lived in Israel?
I was in my junior high school years, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade.
What would there was a you were that's a pretty good starting to learn a lot about life ages. What was your when you guys moved back, what was your big takeaway from your time living there?
Well, it was really tough. When we first moved, it was kind of exciting. Being almost 11 years old and excited about the idea of living in another country. But back then, you had aerograms to stay in touch with your friends, right? It would take 2, 3 weeks for a small piece of paper to get to somebody you knew, and communicating back and forth. You'd never pick up the phone. It would cost you $100 to do it, right? So it was tough losing touch with my friends in the community that I left. That was really tough. But I made new friends and a lot of great friends. And then having to leave those friends, my freshman year in high school, that was tough. That was really tough.
Have you been back since?
I have, yeah. But to get back to the learning, I think the thing I learned the most was to be more compassionate with the families that are relocating to our market. The husband and the wife may be very excited about it, but the kids, maybe not so much, right? So making sure that, and most of the families, they care enough about their kids to make sure that there's plenty of stuff for them to do, but making sure that those kids are happy by just communicating with the parents and making sure they've considered those things in the process has been very helpful.
Very nice. That I know that'll stay. That's had a huge impact. Just listening to you talk about it today, just a huge impact on your life. And those are great stories and memories to have. I know that, Scott. We've enjoyed having you on today. We've been putting your phone number up here. What's the best website to go to find you?
That's a great question. Best way to reach me, frankly, is to text me at that number. If you go to scottkorbin.com, it's really more of a site designed to help you navigate the residential real estate market here. But texting me and calling me is a great way to reach out. If you want to learn more about me, though, join me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com /in/S-Korbin. That's SKORBIN. That's a great way to connect with me as well.
One note I forgot to ask you about. Let's go back to when you met Mary in the laundry room of the apartment complex. Did you have a call sign at the time?
Oh, wow. Good question. So, my nickname was Wolf.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And you didn't want to give her that yet, right?
No, it's actually engraved in my ring.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Very nice. Anyway, Scott, have enjoyed this very much. Good luck with all the selling and the buying and everything. And folks, please get somebody like Scott who knows what the hell is going on in this market. If you've got a competitive situation or there's a house you really want, again, I go back to BNI, shop local, find somebody who knows what they're doing. Get Scott on your team so you can kind of reach the goal you want to get, whether you're buying or selling. Couldn't say enough about the local realtors here, especially the ones in BNI. And Scott I've got you since 1995, Scott, in real estate. All right, folks, that's who you want buying or selling your house for you. So anyway, Scott, enjoyed it very much. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
Thank you very much.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.